We're coming up to the 50th birthday of Michael Schumacher, and we are going to celebrate Michael Schumacher's Formula One cars. We've got all 20 ready to be put on this board, but I'm kicking things off with the Ferrari F2004 at the top of the list. Any dispute?
Well, 15 wins, and for a long time the fastest Grand Prix car there ever was. It's only recently we've started to see that car's records being broken.
Yeah.
But give me the Jordan 191. Schumacher, of course, made his debut in this car, Belgian Grand Prix 1991.
Lasted about 10 seconds, wasn't it?
Yep, the clutch went, coming up at the top of Eau Rouge. I want to put that at number one. Best looking F1 car.
See,
He made his name, he made his career.
That isn't what we're doing though, is it? We're not doing Michael Schumacher's best looking F1 cars. To me, that's the least Schumacher car of the list. He only did one race in it.
I've gone a little bit.
I think it needs to be much further down
I'll
the
accept. It can go second. It can go second at a slightly less jaunty
angle. It can go
angle.
second of the two that we've got so far, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see where that ends up at the end. But that's the point of this debate. We haven't set any criteria, which is why it's going to be utter carnage. So let's get the first championship winning Benetton, the B194. Kev, this is a car you feel quite strongly about.
Yeah, and I think that's right down here for a number of reasons. One, obviously the allegations about traction control.
Investigated, but never proven.
But never gone away either.
No, but these things never do go away.
People like you keep bringing it back.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was put up for sale a few years ago with a line in it saying traction control still in the software. So, and also I think it's quite ugly. If we're going to go on aesthetics, I don't think it's a very nice car either.
That's going to move up a bit. Get the other Benetton in. That's the true great Benetton, the B195.
Yeah, I agree with that.
11 victories that car took.
Exactly. 2 for Johnny Herbert and 9 for Michael Schumacher. That's going to end up high. I mean, sorry Jordan, sorry Gary Anderson. We're going to move that one down. Let's get the Benetton up there. Arguably, that was the truly first great F1 car Michael Schumacher drove, we could say.
Probably. Very successful. Of course, they switched to Renault engines, beat Williams fair and square over that season. Johnny Herbert also won races in it. You know, you can't really argue with that car. That's got to be a top 5 Schumacher car, surely.
I think also if you're factoring in what Schumacher did in them, Glenn, you've recently done a top 10 Michael Schumacher wins. I think 2 of them from the 95 season in that car. So I think that it should be up there on that basis alone.
Yeah, now of course Schumacher then bailed on Benetton, and the first Ferrari he drove, not a particularly great one, slightly chubby, shall we say?
Let me
Ferrari
take this one.
F310.
The world is not tall enough for us to go low enough with that car. Not even fast, terrible car.
He worked some miracles in it, I will say that.
That, for expectations, that car was terrible. He was a miracle worker in it. That's one of the pound for pound worst Formula One cars he drove.
What do you reckon, Kev?
Well, this is where we have the criteria problem, because it's like how much of it is just the car itself and how much do you factor in what Schumacher did in it. For me,
it's not Michael Schumacher's F1 cars and what he did in it. It's Michael Schumacher's F1 cars.
It's what we want to define it as. For me, the 96 and 97 Ferraris were the cars where he did his most amazing races. So on that base, I'd have it above the Benetton.
Let's get some more red cars.
We'll leave it there for now. You mentioned a 97 car, Kev. Now what's interesting about this is Schumacher took this car to the final race of the championship fight that year. But actually in terms of its pace deficit to the dominant Williams, it was very similar to the 96 car. So does that mean it has to go down here, or because it nearly won a championship, does it go further up the list?
It's a little bit further up than that one because it doesn't look as bad.
That's true, above the B194. Now there's one team we still don't have on the board, and that's Mercedes. Schumacher, of course, came back in 2010 and drove for 3 seasons. Don't think they're going to be troubling us up here, but let's get them.
I'm going to help you there, Glenn.
We're making some room for the Mercs, Kev.
Stick them all on the bottom.
Well, in which order? 2010 car, effectively an undeveloped Brawn for 2010.
10, 11, 12, yeah.
So 10 at the bottom.
Yeah.
Now 11 was actually further off the pace than the 2010 car, so arguably that could go below it. And then the 2012, now this won a race with Nico Rosberg, and Schumacher could have had a pole position if he hadn't picked up a penalty before the Monaco Grand Prix. Does that still go at the bottom?
I put it above the 310. Only reason that 310 was winning race, particularly early in the season, was Michael Schumacher.
Right, let's get the remaining Benettons. Where do you want to put the 193? I know you're a big fan of the 93 season.
I'm going to sort of put it tentatively around here because there's going to be a sea of Ferraris coming in here that make it difficult.
91 and 92 cars.
It has to be below the 194.
It's got to be, hasn't it? Because this car followed these and did a better job. But that means that the 93 car that didn't win the championship is above the 94 car that did.
I put the 191 a bit lower.
Okay, how far? You sort it out. I'll get some more cars for us.
Okay, it can go above the 310, which is one of my least favourite Formula One cars.
Now this is another contender for the bottom, if you ask me. The Ferrari F2005 only won 1 race. It doesn't really count. It was the 6-car USGP in 2005. This is a car effectively that brought to an end Schumacher and Ferrari's run of dominance. And it was quite a long way off the pace as well. So for the amount of damage that did and the way it brought to an end the Ferrari empire, I think this can go potentially at the bottom.
Quite low, and we have to bear in mind that obviously the tyres, the no tyre changes rule impacted that.
You do have to remember though with the Super Timers, it was better in the races than it was in qualifying. So obviously the famous San Marino Grand Prix where he charged through the field and has finished on Alonso's gearbox.
Without Indianapolis, it's not a race winner. That's the bottom line.
No, that's true, but I'm not sure.
And this is. So by that logic, you could at least put it there. So potentially the worst Ferrari on the board.
Let's get the F2002 in.
Yes.
15 wins from the F2004. I think the same number for the 2002,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's probably the closest contender to the 2004 car. It was the first really dominant Ferrari. So where does it go?
Just beneath.
Okay. Happy with that, Kev?
Yeah, I was going to argue for it being below the Benetton because I kind of associate the Benetton with more great Schumacher drives, but as a car, you've got to say the Ferrari is better.
Okay, now to use Ed's words, we've got a clutch of Ferraris left. Where do you want to start?
The 99 Ferrari's got to be strong because Eddie Irvine almost won the World Championship in it.
And Michael Schumacher would have done without his broken leg sustained
definitely.
at Silverstone.
So
I think the Jordan's vulnerable again here.
I think the Jordan's got to start moving down
I'm in charge
now.
of the Jordan. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it work its way down.
Keep it
Wow,
straight
I
this
didn't
time.
think that.
It qualified really
Below the
well,
Benetton?
but it's fading.
Yeah, I think so.
think so.
Yes.
There we go. What have we got? We've got 98 and the 2000.
They're quite similar, aren't they? They're championship contenders. One won a title, one didn't.
I think symbolically 2000 car's got to be ahead, hasn't it? It's the car
Ahead of the
that
99?
finally-
I agree with that.
Finally ended Ferrari's and Schumacher's wait.
And the 98 car, it was 7%, 0.7% off the pace. Does that mean it has to be down here? Or is the fact that, again, Schumacher went to the final race of the year and almost won the championship in that car and was on pole for that final race, does that mean it goes higher?
I know it's a bit dull, but I'd be inclined to stick it right under the 99 car.
We need different colours to break some of them up. 3 cars left. 2001. Now this was another dominant car, so this has probably got to be up here, I think. What do you reckon? Does it go beneath? I think the Benetton's got to stay high, hasn't it? So 2001 goes in there. Now we've got the 2006 car. This was the fastest car on pace in the 2006 season, but Schumacher lost the championship to Fernando Alonso. So where do we think that has to go?
You're in that sort of neighbourhood, aren't you?
Yeah, maybe below the 99, because we've accepted that the 99 probably would have won the championship with Michael
there for now.
at the wheel. And that leaves us with the F2003 G8. A beautiful looking car. This is when F1 cars started to have the tighter packaging and the nice swoopy lines, you could say, after some boxy cars in here. But it was the championship that Ferrari and Schumacher arguably made hardest work of during that era. So
Almost beaten by a year-old McLaren.
exactly, they only won one race, I think, with Kimi Räikkönen.
Yep.
So
On the basis of we've basically marked cars down that Schumacher's dragged results out of, that is the championship he dragged out of the car.
yep. Barrichello did win races in it. Irvine didn't win races in the 97 310B, so maybe it goes above that. So that gives us every car on the board. Kev, you're grimacing. Which cars are troubling you? Where are we going to move first?
The two that are troubling me are the Jordan 191 is still too high. He did one Grand Prix in it.
Career making.
What do you think? He wouldn't have made it anyway?
Who knows?
Of course he would.
Okay, so what are you arguing for the 191? I'll take it in case Ed gets overprotective.
I'll let the 191 go down
Yep.
if the 194 comes up. He won the championship in that car.
Okay, deal.
Lovely. Okay, what's next?
I also think the F310 should go higher, certainly above the 2012 Merc, because I kind of feel that Schumacher's second career almost doesn't really count. He was injured, he wasn't his usual.
Let's say he'd won the Monaco Grand Prix in that car, which is very possible. The penalty that cost him pole position was related to the previous race when he hit Bruno Senna, so it wasn't a Monaco weekend infringement. That would change the perspective, wouldn't it?
It would, but I still would have it behind the F310.
Are we just talking a straight swap here? Because Kev, I know you believe that Schumacher perhaps had more better drives in that car, so that perhaps elevates it, even though the simple fact is it was a pretty bad car. So do we just swap them around?
Yeah,
Does that
that's a good
keep
solid
everyone
for
happy?
me.
Okay.
The only one that's standing out to me now actually is the 193, on the basis that the two cars underneath it, he did put challenging campaigns together. One he won, one he didn't. So I think you could make a case of dropping the Benetton below those two Ferraris. I know that's more red at the top half, but
Why don't we drop it below one of them?
okay.
The 2003 G8 did win races with Barrichello as well that year, so it was a car that two drivers could win races in.
And they experimented with four-wheel steering right at the end of the season.
Yeah, the driver aids by the end of 93 were fascinating. I imagine pretty much everybody who looks at this list is going to have a problem with something on it. No one's going to agree with all 20, and please let us know every single one and why we've got them in the wrong position. So that's our list. Now if you'd like to check out more Michael Schumacher videos, I'd recommend F1 Racing's sit-down interview with Pat Simmons, who was Michael's race engineer at Benetton. Lots of fascinating insight in there from Pat, And don't forget to subscribe to the Autosport channel for more content around Formula 1 and all forms of motorsport.